I'm Christine Charmbury. I'm the Archives Advisor for Métis Nation, Saskatchewan, and I've been with them for about 5 years now. In my current role as Archives Advisor, I find it really interesting because I work with our Archives Department, who are working with our political records. So these are records of Métis Nation, Saskatchewan and its previous iterations that we're now sort of trying to organize and describe and get control over. And so those are mostly for the use internally of our staff and politicians and things like that. So those are more sort of an internal set of records. And then I also get to work with collections related to specifically the registry and genealogy. So those are more trying to find historical records and access those, and anything that's able to help us to connect the dots with Métis families and their genealogy, and to help to citizens to get registered when they might not know what sorts of records they would need to find to sort of prove their Métis ancestry. Working with those records, with primary source records for Métis people about Métis history are hugely important, just because of, well, in Métis history, how people have been disenfranchised and sort of haven't had access to a lot of those records. For us in the registry, we're trying to sort of connect those historical records to individuals. So an individual applies and we need to connect them back. Each sort of level of, each generation, we need to be able to sort of have the evidence that would stand up in a court of law. And so some of those records are more recent, you get from vital statistics agencies and things like that, but a lot of the ones that prove the actual ancestry part, which is what is required in order for us to register a citizen, those are all sort of historical records that are available, most of them through Library and Archives Canada, a lot of that collection. So it's a collection that is really important to us to actually, verify that someone has a ancestral connection to the Métis community. And then once they have that connection and then they're able to register and get our card, that's when they're able to access like all the excellent programs that all the various departments are running, like our health department, education, all those various departments that have programs. Generally, you need to be a registered citizen in order to access those. And so all this background work sort of funnels into that, just enabling people to access the stuff that they need. When we are doing the genealogy with the records, I actually find myself reading the script records a lot. Basically, it's the affidavits that Métis people would have filled in when they were trying to get access to script, which they were entitled to as Métis people. So in those, it's a form, and a lot of time you just get people who fill in the form, but there's a whole lot of space on there where people will just include stories about, like, since the time of the transfer in 1870, I've been living here, and then we were wintering over here. So you can get a real sense of people's movements in those files. So for me, the script records are really the heart of what we know about, like, the Métis community at that time, the historic Métis homeland. As I've said, one of our main activities is registering Métis people. So if there are Métis people who want to apply, I want them to know that, we've done a lot of this work and this background work so that you don't have to research your family history all the way back to sort of the time when people are receiving script. And we have information, we have our own records collection, we have copies of all these things so that we can facilitate more easily registering people and access to what it is they want to access.